Alright, welcome back everybody. Today we have another final project demo. This one is by a student named Sahana Mahesh, and today we're going to be looking at some data about penguins and asking some questions about them. So one of the questions we have is whether or not heavier penguins have longer flippers. We're also asking what species of penguins generally has the longest flippers. And another question we have is what is the most common flipper length among Adelie penguins? So first we're going to start by looking at a scatter plot that compares flipper length to body mass. So we're going to import matplotlib. We're going to shorten it to PLT. That's a common shorthand. Also with pandas, we're going to import it as PD. And then Seaborn, we're going to import as SNS. And Seaborn's where we're going to get the data set from. So then this command right here is going to load that penguin's data set from Seaborn, and it's going to call the variable df, which stands for data frame. And then this scatter plot line right here is going to produce a scatter plot, so we're going to use the data from the data frame. On our x-axis, we're going to have the body mass. On the y-axis, we're going to have the flipper length, and this little part right here, hue species, just changes the color based on the species. So the hue parameter will change the colors on whatever plot you use based on their different names. So, and then this PLT show is just going to show the plot, so we can run that here. And so here we're going to see that for the Gen 2 penguins that have the green dots, they are going to have a longer flipper length as well as heavier body mass. And then for the chin strap ones, they're going to kind of fall in the middle and on the lower end. And then the Adelie penguins are going to fall mostly on the lower end, also a little bit in the middle. So just from looking at this scatter plot, we can see that body mass and flipper length have a positive correlation, which means that heavier penguins in general do have longer flippers. And it says here that when we search this up on Google, that will confirm what we're saying. So now we're going to look at a different plot. We're going to look at a box plot that compares flipper length to different species. So again, we're going to import our three libraries. We have matplotlib, we have pandas, and we have Seaborn. We're loading our data set again, just like in the first example. Now we're going to do a box plot that has species on the x-axis. We have flipper length on the y-axis, and we're going to differentiate colors by species. So we can run this. And here we can see the box plot. So using this box plot, we can see that Gen 2 penguins have a much higher median and interquartile range than both Adelie and chinstrap penguins. And because of that, we can conclude that on average, Gen 2 penguins have the longest flippers. So now we're going to look at a density plot. So this KDE plot, it basically shows like probability distribution in like a continuous line. So these lines of code right here, we see that on the x-axis we have flipper length, and then we're going to separate the colors by species again. We're going to show that. So we can run this. And so we see these three lines. And this is telling us that since the curve for Adelie penguins peaks at about 188 millimeters, which we can see right here, if we kind of put our mouse pointer on about 188 and just go right up like that, we can see it's right about the top. So this tells us that the most common flipper length for Adelie penguins is 188 millimeters. And we can also see similarly, like for chinstrap penguins, we are looking at about 195 right here, and then for Gen 2 penguins, we're looking at, let's say that's like 215. So a lot of different things that you can figure out just by looking at these different plots. And yeah, this is a very well done project.